Amethyst has such a beautiful, vibrant color, a wide availability, and an affordable price point. Because of these things, it has become one of the most popular colored gemstones, period. It's the birthstone for February. Here are 5 things you need to know about amethyst. And amethyst is now one of the most affordable colored gemstones on the market, but before the 1800s, it was actually extremely rare and valuable, and it was actually considered just as valuable and sought after as diamond, emerald, ruby, and sapphire. This is because before the 19th century, amethyst was really only being found in Russia and some other very small sources, so it was very hard to come by and therefore very expensive and very rare. It also helped that the color purple in general was considered very luxurious. It was very much associated with the royal family, with very important religious figures, and this is because there was no synthetic purple pigment yet. It was very hard to come by, and so really the only people that could even wear purple were of the very highest parts of society. This all changed in the 19th century when amethyst was finally found in Brazil, and after that it really flooded the market, which of course caused the price point to come down significantly. Interestingly enough, around the same time in 1856, purple pigment was accidentally invented. It was called Mauveine, and this caused it to be widely available, and it really came into fashion in the Victorian era. So now wearing purple was much more accessible. It was the height of fashion. Queen Victoria in particular loved it, and because amethyst was now so widely available, it's one of the most common stones that you do see in Victorian era jewelry. Now the other reason why amethyst is so widely available is because it's actually quartz, which has the chemical composition of silicon and oxygen, and quartz itself is one of the most common minerals found on Earth. In fact, it's so common that most of the dust we encounter in the air is actually made out of quartz, and that's why it's so important that you protect your jewelry and put it away when you're not using it, because quartz does have a Mohs hardness scale rating of 7. So if you allow jewelry to collect dust and it has a hardness rating of 7, it can actually be scratched just by the dust. 7 is definitely hard enough for daily wear. However, over a long period of time, if you're wearing amethyst in a ring, for example, it's definitely soft enough to show some facet abrasion over time. So that is something you're going to want to be more cognizant of. One of the reasons why amethyst is so special is that it really is one of the only gemstones you can find in a beautiful saturated purple color. One very interesting thing to note is that in the gem trade, we do differentiate between purple and violet. And purple is a color that is going to have a reddish undertone, which is exactly how we find amethyst. Violet, on the other hand, is more of a bluish undertone, so a bluish purple color. And that is more what we talk about when we are seeing a tanzanite, for example. It can be a violet to violetish blue, and it definitely has more of that cool blue undertone, whereas a reddish purple and amethyst is going to have a warmer undertone. The only other gemstones we really find in that beautiful reddish purple color are sometimes garnets, but they tend to not be as saturated, and when they are, they're definitely significantly more expensive than amethyst. And then of course we have sapphire, which is also known by its chemical name of corundum. However, of course, when corundum is in that reddish purple color, it's often labeled as ruby, especially if you are in certain parts of the world. Of course, that's very much up to interpretation, and again, when it comes to sapphire, we're really not getting those really significantly saturated purple colors. What gives amethyst its purple color is actually trace amounts of iron, and it creates what is called a color center. And the way the crystals grow is that they tend to have a bit of a gradient. So the tip of the crystal tends to be that saturated purple color, and then it can sometimes fade out to be completely transparent. This is why the most valuable amethysts on the market are definitely have a very nice, even, and of course saturated purple color, and you definitely don't want to see any color zoning in the gemstone. So no stripes of colorless or even yellow material, and you definitely want to have that saturated color without any tint of gray or brownish color. In the past, a very light tone of purple amethyst was definitely considered a lot less valuable. But as it happens, of course, these lighter kind of pinkish purple amethysts have really become popular in the market in the last couple of years. They've been marketed as Rose de France amethysts, and again, they can kind of be a pinky purple color, almost a mix between rose quartz and amethyst. And I do think they're very pretty, and of course, if you love that kind of watercolor shade, it might be something that you'll want to consider. The other interesting kind of amethyst gemstone that's become more popular is the ametrine, and this is a very specifically color zoned crystal where part of the crystal is going to be yellow, which is actually citrine, and then the other half is going to be amethyst with that saturated purple color. And this happens when the crystal is growing in the earth, and those trace elements, as I mentioned, that are in the environment while the crystal is growing basically change over time, and so that's why the crystal ends up completely changing colors. If you love ametrine, what you'll want to look for in these crystals is a very beautiful yellow color, a bright sunny yellow, again without too much green or brown in the color, that saturated purple color, and you want a very nice clear division between the two colors, very sharp line. That's what's going to give those gems the most value. You may have also seen lots of other crystals that come in a wide variety of other colors, and that can be a little bit confusing. Essentially what's happening is that because quartz is such a widely available mineral, the colors can come in lots of different ways. So again, it could be the trace elements that are in the environment when the crystal is growing, and they can also be treated in lots of different ways. So a lot of these crystals are also extremely popular. So as I mentioned, you have citrine, which is yellow quartz, you have rose quartz, which is the pink variety, rock crystal quartz, which is transparent, and that means it's a completely clean mineral without any trace elements whatsoever. You have smoky quartz, which is brown, and prasiolite, which is green. And amethyst has been around for hundreds of years, and it has long been treasured as a beautiful gemstone with a lot of personal and overall value. It was loved by the ancient Egyptians, the Greeks, the Romans, and in fact, the name amethyst itself comes from the ancient Greek word which means not intoxicated. Because of that beautiful purple color, it was also associated with another purple and high value item, which was grapes, and so it was believed that amethyst got its color from the god Bacchus, which of course was the god of drinking and wine. Because of this, both the Greeks and the Romans actually believed that the amethyst's magical and medicinal properties could stop you from getting intoxicated while you were drinking wine. So they actually would place little amethyst crystals in their wine goblets while they were drinking. And of course, some very wealthy and noble people would even have their wine glasses made out of amethyst. Thank you so much for watching. If you have any more questions about amethyst, please feel free to put them in the comments below, and be sure to visit us on our main page at winstongemsandjewellery.com.